Both of my daughters can tie a knot in cherry stems in their mouth with their tongues. I don't even know how that's possible. I think it's a trick. Well, I don't know whether your tongue can do that or not, but one thing you can't stop your tongue from doing, telling what's inside you. This is Looking Intently. I'm going through the book of James right now with these short videos, and if you've missed any, you can click the tag in the upper right, and then to make sure you don't miss any more, click the subscribe button and then that bell icon in the lower right. I've also said recently that sharing is caring. It really helps. If you like these videos and want to support this ministry, be sure and click that share button underneath the video and it'll bring up a list of social media icons. Click on the ones you have and it walks you through just exactly what to do. It's simple. So that would be a huge help. Well, in James chapter 3, verse 2, he says, "For we all stumble in many ways. And if anyone does not stumble in what he says, he is a perfect man, able also to bridle his whole body." Well, what's the point James is making there? And as always, to answer that question, what's the point of a passage? You look at the context. And in this case, the context goes back pretty far, starting in chapter 1, verse 26, where James said, "If anyone thinks he is religious," in other words, living the way God desires, "and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his heart, this person's religion is worthless." So you see the connection there. James does this a couple times where he'll briefly introduce an idea and then expand it later, as he's going to do here in chapter 3. And so he shows the connection between what we say and what's really inside us, where we really stand with God. And he also brings up this idea of it's possible to deceive ourselves, to think one thing and it's not the truth. Well, he continues that idea of deception, or actually he had said it before in chapter 1, verse 22, where he said, "But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves." And remember, that section was about people, Christians, who read the Bible and think that's the whole purpose, is just to read it, get the facts. And he says, no, you've got to apply it, and ultimately you need to live it out. We can deceive ourselves about that. And then James chapter 2 verse 8 is similar. He says, "If you really fulfill the royal law, according to the scripture, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, you're doing well." Well, if you really fulfill it, in other words, it's possible to think you are, but be deceived and not really be doing it. So all those things you put together, the point is we can think we're religious, living the life God intends. We can think we're reading the Bible and it's having the effect it should. We can think that we're loving our neighbor as ourselves, and in every instance be deceived. But he's telling us here, our tongues tell the truth. Even when they don't tell the truth, they're telling the truth about what's inside us. And that's what he means when he says, "If anyone does not stumble in what he says, he is a perfect man, able to also bridle his whole body." In other words, to the degree we stumble in what we say or don't, that tells what's inside us, where we really stand in our relationship with God. We can say all we want, but the other things that we say, that's what tells us. A key idea of the Bible is the need for examination of self. And a key area to look at is our tongue and our speech. What we say, obviously, sometimes how we say it, and gives a big indication about people, the way they speak to other people, not even always the words, but just the way, the tone, the attitude. What's that show about us? And then, of course, sometimes the things we don't say. I know I should say something. I know I should speak some encouragement. I know I should stand up, and I don't. That is all telling what's inside me. So as we seek to apply this, if I were to ask the question, am I living the life God desires? We all want to say, well, of course, yes, I am. But what do our tongues say? Think about it. If you say, if you were asked, do you love your neighbor? Well, yes, but do I gossip? Am I critical of someone else? Do I make comments behind their back? If I were to be asked, do I trust God? Well, again, I want to say yes, but do I express worry with the things I say that isn't trusting God? And, things like, are you surrendered to God? Well, again, I want to say yes, but if I'm angry, if I'm bitter, that's saying I don't like the things God has allowed. That's what's really on the inside. And, even as we think about this, it's possible still to deceive ourselves. And so one key area of examination of self is to ask someone else, what do you see in me? What do you hear in me? It starts with me and my need and recognizing that and my desire to examine. But bring someone else in, a trusted Christian friend. What do you hear me say? What's it indicate to you to see where we really are? Our tongues are the key. We need to look at them, and we always need to bring in, as I say every time, we need to be sure we read the good book like a good book.